Hi, welcome to Local Flavor. My name is Oystein Stolberg, and I'm here with Michael Combs and Angela Nichols. How are you guys today?
Hi,
Good,
doing well,
good.
Chef.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. We got all sorts of shenanigans here today.
Yes,
What?
we're outside making sausage.
Yes.
Awesome.
Alrighty.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I've never made sausage outside, honestly.
We figured it's like 80-some degrees. Let's go make some ground meat.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna set the grind. We're gonna set the grinder up. There's this is a KitchenAid grinder. Most people buy them. You can buy them at the store. So we figured we'd use something a little more common than than one of those big old grinders.
Because this one works fine for like smaller batches.
Exactly, and that's
Yeah.
all we're doing. We're doing 2.5 pounds, which isn't really a lot of sausage. And obviously, I mean, if you're gonna make sausage at home, though, we probably recommend you make quite a bit, right? So you don't have to.
Yeah,
This isn't
yeah,
like
yeah.
something you want to set up for and then only do like a pound.
Right.
But you can get like commercial grinders as well, like
You bet.
readily available in
Oh, yeah,
a lot
they
of
are.
places these days.
They are, and they do so we have one also that does about 220 pounds
Yeah.
an hour. So
That's a chunk of meat.
that's a chunk of meat. So
You
that's
can get
So-
them at local
so what's the
sporting goods
different-
stores too.
Yeah. So what's the different pieces you're putting in here?
So basically, I'm putting like an auger. So this little piece right here is going to basically push the piece or push everything through,
Okay.
right?
So you're just feeding everything down there and it just pushes it forward.
Yep. So I just go ahead and some of these you're gonna have to put them on before you put the little nut on here to make sure they stay. But this one you can do it. So I'm gonna push that through, make sure it's nice and set.
Yeah.
I'll put the blade. Usually, sometimes there's a side that's flat, but this is kind of universal. You can go each side.
Yeah.
But if it does have a flat side and a bowed side, put the flat side out towards the blade.
Okay.
And so make sure that fits there.
So the flat side will just set snug up against the die.
Exactly.
So it just cuts
Cuts,
it instead
exactly.
of push it. Yeah.
And so this is a medium die, but there's different sizes. So you have small, medium. I like to use a medium. We're going to use medium this time just for texture.
Yeah.
So we can have a little texture, kind of like a Polish sausage or something like that. Have a little bit of texture in there. And then all we're going to do is put this on. Basically like the little top on here to make sure everything stays. So everything should fit snug and be very easy to put on. If
Yeah.
it's not very easy to put on and you have to struggle with it, then it probably doesn't belong
Yeah.
to this grinder or this
Yeah.
part. So we're going to grind. This is actually half of the lean meat we're going to grind. We have another half that's already ground. I like to add things like if we're going to do some green chilies or anything like that, I
Yeah.
like to add them to the meat too so we can grind them up as well.
Perfect.
You don't have to do that. If you want texture in there, you can do that. But with garlic, I like to get it really
Yeah.
well ground up, and so that way it's in the meat. So
And it's one less step, right? It's going to do the work for you.
instead of chopping it all up, because then you
Right.
have these big pieces in there, but this is going to grind it up pretty good.
Perfect.
Okay, so we're going to go directly into this bowl. We're going to turn it on, which is on the opposite side.
Yes. Well, then
Yes.
that way you guys can kind of see. We put it on about a medium.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like if you want to put it on faster, it doesn't really matter, really. I mean,
Just kind of have it at whatever speed you kind of feel comfortable.
exactly. And so also make sure that the grinding equipment is very cold, because this is very temperature sensitive, even
And
though we're sitting in 85-degree weather.
And the meat itself and the fat as well. Just keep it
Right.
nice and cold.
Yes, and so if you keep it nice and cold like that, what that's going to do is going to give us all the texture separation that we want.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you don't, it's just going to melt together, and then you don't have all that. When you look at sausage and you see little bits of fat and meat, you won't have that.
Okay.
So it's very temperature sensitive.
I'm going to turn it up one more notch.
Yep. And so you
There
can
we
also
go.
do a double grind method too.
Yeah.
So if you want to, and you don't do the emulsion method we show, you can do a double grind. So you basically grind it on a medium die, and then you
go
turn
up.
around and do it on a smaller die.
Perfect.
Or you can use both. Like when I do andouille, I do one on the medium or the coarse grind, so it gives it texture.
Yep, there you
and
go.
then the other half of it is the
Yeah.
smaller grind
Yeah.
that gives you a better emulsion.
Yep.
Oh, this is pretty.
And as you smell the garlic already,
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yep, and you can see that the garlic, it's nice and ground up in
there
there.
we go.
But like the thing when using garlic and it's gonna give out more flavor kind of over time,
Yes.
right? So if you season it now, it's gonna take a couple hours for the garlic to fully come out.
Yes, and that's a good point. Matter of fact, when I make sausage, I like to let it sit for a day before we even eat
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And if you want to do, if you make sausage and you want to do a little, experiment, you can eat try one right after you're done making it, and then the next day try it again.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different sausage.
It's the same as when making soup and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like it just takes a little while to do its thing.
We're good.
Yep, you're good to go.
It's
So-
gorgeous.
Yep, looks like everything's pretty much out of there. We're going to.
We're gonna unscrew
can take
the
that one for
attachment.
you.
Thank you. And so now we're pretty much ready to make our emulsion. So we have our meat in there, right? So it looks nice and ground. So it's really important when you make an emulsion. This is, in my opinion, one of the most important parts to making sausage. And so you don't have to use like powdered dry milk to help form protein binds or anything like that.
Yeah.
We're just going to use temperatures only.
Yeah.
So we're going to just take all of our salt. We'll put that in. The most important thing you'll have to put in there is salt. We're going to use a little nitrites today because we're going to grill, and you're also going to see it'll add a really nice color to it.
Yeah.
Give it that nice pink color.
And that'll just kind of help bind the water a little bit better, so it doesn't.
Yeah, so it helps. Well, there's a couple of things. It also helps against like it's antimicrobial. It'll give it that color, that pink color too. And so its stuff is very potent, and it's so it's 1.134 grams per pound.
Okay.
So we have 2.68 grams right here for 2 pounds.
Yeah.
And then we use like a 0.4. So we do a point. It's like not even a full. I guess a 1%, but a little bit less than 0.5%.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Again. One more.
Yes, ma'am. So
There's that. Gotta top it.
thank you. So all we're going to do. So first things first, we're going to temp it. So what we want to see is when you first put it in, the temperature thing is we want to see about 30 or 33 degrees, and it's about there right now.
Perfect.
Nice and warm out.
Yep. And so we want to get to it. We want to get to 41 degrees.
Yeah.
So with pork, it's always 41 degrees. Like you want to mix it till it hits 41 degrees. The salt in there just kind of rubs against all the proteins. They're called myofibrillar proteins, and they start to rub, and they start creating a bind and pulling off all the proteins, and that's what makes it real sticky.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like friction.
That's exactly what it is, friction.
Yeah.
But the sodium helps do that. Since these are sodium, this muscle right here will break down with sodium. So there's sodium, water, and heat soluble proteins.
So what kind of cuts do you usually use when making sausage? Because like you don't want to be using like a ribeye or tenderloin or something like that.
That's a good point. I like to. I mean, obviously, I say the toughest cuts that you don't want to, right?
Yeah.
Like the legs the legs really. Even though people make really nice pork butt with cooking and slow and low barbecuing, that makes really good sausage, right?
Yeah.
And so typically a shoulder butt is about 20 or 80-20, so 80% muscle, 20% fat. We like to do like 30% fat in here, just because it'll get pretty dry.
So you're using this little laser beeper leapy thing, and this is just the thermometer, right? It's just like a laser thermometer.
Yes, and so this thermometer will basically is a surface temperature, which is just fine for what we're doing.
Yeah.
We don't really need an internal temperature just because it's being moved around and all that good stuff.
But you can just use a regular thermometer as well. It'll do the same
That's
thing.
what we typically do use, honestly. We're getting fancy with this guy. These are about $50, 50, 60. I'm sure it'll end up.
But like you can get like a good digital thermometer for like 10.
Right.
Yes.
So like it works out fine.
Like, dude, just make sure it's calibrated before you do.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna see basically right now like how this is all working out here. It looks like it's starting to rub against the bowl. Yeah. Do you mind?
Nope, got it.
And then we're gonna see where it's at, and I'd say we're pretty good. So we're hitting around 41.
Perfect. Like so that's just half the lean meat, right?
Yep. And so you'll see here it's very sticky. So it's starting to stick to my hand. It'll stick to a lot of other things like the bowl too.
Yeah.
And so and so basically what we're gonna do is add we'll add the fat now. The fat's got to be very cold. So if it's not, it'll smear. So it's got to be very cold. So we'll add the fat, which we grounded, and we've been keeping in the freezer. And so we'll give that a good mix. Yep, just to keep it incorporated, nice, different, and so we'll keep it mixed up like that. And then I like to add the water next too. So since we built an emulsion, it'll hold water as well. Yeah. So what do you got in here?
Today we have white wine. I wanted to have
did
a little
you?
party in the sausage. So
we had a little
bit of white
we had a
wine.
little cocktail this morning before we got going.
No, I won't do it. It's already been measured out, so I won't do it. Because then you guys will have to take a drink, and then we're not gonna have enough.
we won't worry about sausage making. Jeff.
That's right. Yeah, so white wine, you can add stock in there, right? Water, you can just
Yeah.
add water even. I mean, if you want it to be crazy, if you're like going for like a barbecue competition or something and you want it to be really moist,
Yeah.
you can add phosphates to it too.
Like you want to be careful using like hard liquors, though, right?
Yes.
Like higher alcohol, like it's just gonna like kind of mess up the meat over time.
Yep, it'll denature it and kind of like
Yeah.
how vinegar does. Exactly, you're right about that.
But like it's the same with raw pineapple, fresh ginger,
Yes.
Kiwi.
Anything with those weird enzymes, right?
Yeah,
That, like kind of.
it'll just denature the proteins and
exactly.
just make it funky.
And it'll be like, so chorizo is a really good example. They use vinegar in
Uh-huh.
chorizo, and so it's like real crumbly.
Yeah.
But it's real crumbly on purpose.
Yeah,
If this comes out crumbly, there's something wrong.
yeah.
So you can see there's a nice separation in the fat and
It's
everything in there.
gorgeous.
See that?
It looks beautiful.
And so, and then we're just going to add the lean. So the lean is going to be the texture for it. So
Yeah.
you can do whichever you like. You can have larger pieces. You can have smaller pieces.
You can even just dice it by hand and
Exactly.
work it.
You can do the
yeah.
fat like that even too. So like when we do dry sausages, we dice it by hand. So that way you have those nice, cool little diced
Yeah.
pieces in there. So we're just going to add the rest of the lean meat to it. And so we'll give it a quick little mix here.
Give it a whirl.
Yep.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
And all we're doing is just mixing, just to incorporate. So we don't have to form a bind anymore. We don't have to do any of that
Because
crazy
that
stuff.
all got done with the first half of the lean.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so you'll notice though too that like when we mixed it, it might take longer. Sometimes if your meat's really cold, it can take you 10 minutes to make a
Yeah.
bind.
And if you're doing it inside, like it's
That's
just
right.
gonna rise slower, but like it's 80
Yeah,
degrees,
we're lucked out.
80 degrees outside, so
Yeah. So for the sake of the show and timing, we actually being outside actually kind of sped things up a little.
And
But you'll see here's the separation
it's gorgeous.
and everything. So you'll see there's a little fat separation in there.
But
and
it's
that's what you
still,
want.
it's still holding on to the fat really nicely, just due to the emulsion you did. at
Exactly.
first. Yeah.
And it is very important the type of fat you use too. Make sure you use like a very saturated fat. So this is the only time
Yeah.
you're going to use a fat that's not as good for you, right?
Use like a back fat. and
yeah, a
stuff
back
like
fat
that.
or even bacon.
Yeah.
Or you can use a
Yeah.
combination.
bacon's
Yeah.
delicious.
Bacon still give you that smoky flavor.
Totally.
And
But like, definitely don't use like leaf lard or anything like that.
exactly.
It'll
Or
get
like
really
regular
freaky.
lard from like
Yeah.
cooking lard, because
Yeah.
it'll just melt in there. So it's got to be a pretty
Yeah.
saturated fat.
Something that'll hold its shape and
Yeah.
texture.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So I guess next thing we're gonna do is
I'm gonna do some stuffing.
that's right. We're gonna case next.
Get to use this puppy right here.
Awesome.
Yep, and we'll show you how to do that next, and then we'll actually get to try these things.
Sounds
So
delicious.
I think we should drink the rest of that wine. I think there was some left over here.
Aw, chef.
So
Drops.
yeah, we'll find something. So you guys stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
See ya.
All right, so we're back here again, and we got our force meat made.
Yep.
Now we're gonna just put this little puppy back in its own intestines.
Yay,
It's gonna
intestines.
be awesome. It's gonna be awesome.
Delicious.
Yes, but it's great.
So we got this wonderful medieval contraption right here. We're just gonna use this one to stuff with.
I was just gonna say you can see.
Yep. So yeah. So we basically just fill all our force meat into this little tube right here,
Yep.
and that's
This little guy will hold about 5 pounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Actually.
yep. So this one will basically this one will just push this plate down, and you got this rubber seal around the side, so it sits very snug, and it'll push it out very nice and gently.
Mhm.
It also got like a little air vent, so it'll kind of push out. It'll kind of let extra air escape, so you don't get so many bubbles in your sausage
Exactly.
and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, you don't
So-
want air pockets in your sausage.
Yeah, air pockets are no good. So just gonna crank
yeah, it
this
fits
puppy
perfect.
down. Oh yeah, this is like it's made for each other.
Yeah.
I think it is actually.
It is.
So it fits super nice and snug.
Yeah, it turns real easy, and so that's a good sign that everything's supposed to be on there.
Yeah. So I'm
That's
just gonna
really
turn it until I kind of see it start moving down here. It's very good for like juicing oranges too.
Oh, that's a good idea. I didn't think about that.
I hadn't thought about that either.
So it's starting to move right there. So I'm just gonna stop it right here. But then we need our L casing.
Okay, so I like to put them on first, just because I notice if I put the casing on and then I snap it on, sometimes it gets stuck in here.
Yeah.
And so if it gets stuck in there, then it's kind of a pain in the butt, really.
All right.
Let's see. What do you got there?
So what kind of casing is this?
So this is a hog casing. So they have like hog middles, hog casings. They have beef middles, things like that. But this is a hog casing, so you can eat it. It has a knack to it, so when you eat it, it actually pops.
So that's like the regular bratwurst size, basically.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can do lamb too. Lamb are a pain to work with unless you get really good ones, fresh ones, right?
Yeah.
I know you've worked with lamb ones before.
Yeah,
Those things will just blow out like if you're.
they're a blessing. The thing with them is when you work with them, like you always want to keep them wet. If not, they're going to start dry and they might
That's right.
might crack and get kind of funky. So always store them in water. And even after you get them fed on here, like you want to just kind of keep them nice and wet. So I usually just put a little bit of water on, then you just kind of find your end, and you want to rinse them off really well before you start using them as well.
So, Chef, how do you feel about freezing your casings? I know that there's two schools of thought on that, where some people want to just store them and freeze them until they use them. Some just keep them in their fridge.
It works like as long as you're kind of careful when you use them and store them in like plenty of salt and stuff like that. Like you can kind of store them in the fridge, but
I agree with that too.
but like as long as like I've had them stored fine in the freezer as well. So
Sure.
It kind of works out.
I think it'll probably work both ways. I mean,
Yeah.
but you're right. I mean, if it'll hold okay in the freezer or refrigerator for 6 months with salt,
Yeah.
I mean,
Why not?
that's half a year. Like, why even freeze them?
But like it's tricky with like a lot of it. Like it's not something you do every single week.
Right.
Like so.
I can see
and
that.
like when you get a casings, like you only get like a pretty decent pack too. So
Yeah, like a
it's-
hank.
Yeah,
And if a hank is 99 yards.
that's a lot of sausage.
That's
That's a lot of sausage.
yeah. That's 70. It'll do 75 pounds. I think is what a hank will do. 75 pounds. So look at the back of the package. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so
Maybe your
cut
best
it to
bet.
portion like in half, keep half in the fridge, half in the freezer or something like that.
There you go.
But like,
Or just buying small increments and use it all
Yeah.
all you can. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, so we got our casing on. So you want to have a good amount of space. If you don't have like a stainless steel table like this, most people don't.
Yeah.
Just take like I usually just use like a foldable patio table or whatever.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And just put down plastic wrap on it, and it works out pretty good. So you want to start out pretty slow, and I always leave the end open to kind of let excess air out because you're going to have some air left in the tube.
And that little airlock over there will release some of it. So if you go kind of slower, it'll give it the time to do that, right? Instead of just like cranking it out, literally.
So then you want to hold the casing back so it fills up pretty nice and evenly. You don't want to fill it too tight because you want to leave room for kind of shaping the sausages too.
Oh, sure. So like when we tie it, when we link them up, we'll have to get them a little tighter, and then even then
Exactly.
you can make them a little tighter then if you like.
Yeah, because it's gonna like shift stuff around a little bit. So I usually leave mine fairly loose. And when you cook them as well, the casing is gonna start to shrink. So it's a little bit less prone to breakage if you got them a little bit looser.
Yep, they look good too. So they're
does.
they're filling. There's not a bunch of pockets in there, which is really what you don't want. You don't
Yeah.
want a bunch of pockets in there. But I mean, if you do get some pockets, you can fix that too. But obviously, if you can do it without it, it'd be great.
But like I just want to feed it like just a nice steady pace like that. And sometimes you'll get, like you see here, like this one had a little burst on it. It's not that big of a deal.
Oh, it'll happen too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll definitely happen.
But like a lot of times these casings might get kind of ruptured when they get processed and stuff like that. So but it's no big deal. But yeah, you just kind of take your time, just kind of feed it on there. And it's the same process if you're making a dried sausage, just different recipe, but like the casing process is just the same.
So let's look how much sausage is making. This is 2.5 pounds, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
2.5 pounds.
So it's plenty it's quite a bit, really.
You can feed a good chunk of people with this.
And so we've kept the table wet so it moves along smoothly, but also so the casings don't dry out while we're stuffing.
Exactly, yeah. Because once they do, they kind of get like you're right about that. You really don't want that. It'll start to form a pellicle, which is what you don't want on this.
Yeah. So we're getting towards the end.
Wow, look at that. Perfect.
I'm just
Ah.
going to stop it right before end and just leave a couple of inches off. Because then we can use that to tie it off. So
Beautiful.
yeah, like it's a pretty sausage.
It is pretty.
So the way I usually like to, like you can use butcher twine and kind of tie them off individually. I'm a big fan of just laying it out double.
You like to twist them?
Yeah. So, because I got these little ends there. So I just tie those off at the end.
There you go.
And this is pretty slippery stuff, so you want to do a couple of good knots on there. If not, they're just going to come undone and it'll just be a little nuisance. So
This is the fun part. Whip, 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 whip.
yeah. So I just kind of get them to length. And if you got like some holes in the casing, like it'll squirt out a little bit, but that's all right.
Can
Yeah.
you knot it at the hole? Would that kind of seal the hole if you knot it there?
You could. You could. But like, I'm not really too worried about it. Like, it'll
Yeah,
do
once you
its
cook,
thing.
it kind of seals up on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna pinch it kind of where the length I want them to be, and I'm just gonna twist them onto each other.
There you go.
Just
That's a
like
good
that.
idea. Look
Then
like
I'll-
the typical Polish sausage.
Yeah. So then I just mark my next one, but I'm not gonna twist that one because if I twist this one, it's gonna untwist that one.
Because
Right.
that one's already gotcha. So you're gonna twist every other and then twist that one the
Yeah.
opposite. Gotcha.
So then I just mark kind of the third link, and then I twist it the same way. Because then I'll just keep them apart like that.
there you
Like
go.
sausage magic.
Yeah.
So we came up with 8 sausages.
Yep. So like you could do it as an individual link as well and just twist them. If you do twist every single one, you got to twist opposite direction.
Right. So it's a pain.
Yeah. So like if you do it like this, you're always twisting the same way.
That's a good little trick.
Like you can do it
Go
in like
quicker.
yeah, and like you can do it in like 3 or 4 loops like that. So if you're doing a lot of
Right.
sausage, like you can just have like 4 of them in a bundle and twist them. And then once they're set, they're just gonna seize up a little bit. They'll be fine.
Awesome. So then you can even smoke them. So like this way, if you wanted to put them on a little stick or something, you could. Then you can go ahead and smoke them.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, like you can just hang them, smoke them, and they'll do their own thing. Like it's the same process if you want to make like summer sausage and stuff like
Right.
that too. Like you can smoke them and kind of poach them a little bit. So it's super easy. You can kind of make them whatever length you want to, and it's kind of fun.
No, they came out really good. You can
did.
see all the little separation in them. So you see little fat pieces in there as well as the ground pork.
Yeah.
And then you can also do different things, right? I mean, like if you can do so, a lot of hunters, right? A lot of
Oh, yeah.
people make
Yeah.
venison.
Yeah.
You do the same thing. The only thing different, I think, you for an emulsion, you just go to about 40 degrees.
Yeah.
And so otherwise, you do the same exact technique for making sausages and vinegar.
Yeah.
So.
You can change your spices and herbs out 1,000 different ways too. Like we just did white wine and garlic, but
Yeah.
you could do like juniper berry and
Yeah.
just all kinds of different
Oh yeah.
nutmeg.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
got
nutmeg's very common.
cheeses,
Mhm.
right?
Oh yeah, cheese like do like brie and chili and stuff.
Right.
It's really
Oh, that'd be really good.
Oh,
We,
it's
we
tasty.
did a jalapeno cheddar in class
We did.
one time. That was
Yeah.
delicious.
It's endless.
We need to cook this.
I know
now,
we do.
ain't it?
We're
Yep.
getting hungry
I
now.
can smell the grills ready to go.
Yeah, so the grill's looking pretty toasty, so I think we're going to polish off whatever white wine was left, if there was any. So,
Still looking for white wine.
oh yeah, always
Anyone?
looking for white wine. So you guys stay tuned and we'll be right back.
See ya.
See ya.
All right, now we're back here again, and it's a wonderful summer day,
It is. Actually, it's a nice breeze now.
and we got a bunch of sausages.
Yep.
Sausages.
We're going to cook some sausages.
That's right.
Yes.
I'm so excited. All right, so we got our sausages. So these ones are still, like we had some on the grill already that we just kind of started a little bit ago. Like these ones are still linked up. So what you'll do is just go carefully in between and just cut them into individual links.
Mm-hmm.
Because this will make kind of popping a little bit less prone as well. Because like once it starts shrinking, you can just pop out the ends
Sides?
instead.
Yep.
Yeah,
So it has some place for it to go when it starts to expand while it's cooking.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna cut that little bugger off too, and
Thank you,
then
sir.
it's all up to you.
Oh, awesome.
Right.
Better not mess them up, Mike.
Darn it.
Yeah, I
not
have
burn
faith
these up.
in you.
Yeah.
So we're just going to put these on the grill. If they're really large, sometimes you can poach them ahead of time. But really what I recommend is
Like
just
you,
cook
like you
them
can
slow.
poach them in beer and stuff
Yes.
like that.
Yeah.
Or you can hold them that way too, right? Like
Yeah,
you can.
yeah.
And so,
So like the way we got the grill set up now, like we kind of got the majority of the coals kind of in the middle,
right.
and then kind of left the ends a little bit more open.
Yeah, and so we left the ends open. So that way we intentionally built a hot zone, right?
Yeah.
And a cool zone. So that way we can move them in and out as we like to, just
Yep.
if they need more heat or whichever.
Or if you're just doing a lot, you can just use the bar, the bar on the back as well.
That's
Like
right.
So
Right
after you
here.
kind of get a good sear on them, like you can just put them up there and let 'em do
Exactly.
their thing.
Kind of like a built-in warmer.
Yeah, it's magical. So
Yeah,
like, you
so-
still get a good amount of like radiant heat back there. So
Yeah.
it
Oh
looks
yeah,
like good.
it'll keep things nice and warm. So like if you were, obviously it's a whole nother class probably or a whole nother show grilling, but obviously like if you want to keep them warm and you're still working on other stuff, you can just put them right up top.
Yep.
Or you can cook other stuff up there, right?
Yep.
Um,
It's just kind of how like most effectively use your surface,
right.
and like it's magical.
These are looking really good.
They're
So
looking
like
really good.
if we stuff these ones too tight, like during the stuffing, like most likely at this point, like they'll start bursting. Like they just wouldn't have room
Right.
to shrink into.
Right, exactly. So we have the tops, so the ends are open, and so you'll see they're kind of come out the ends a little bit. Not a big deal at all.
Right there.
Yep, not a big deal. That'll happen. It'll only happen for a little bit until it
Yeah.
starts to cook, and then it'll
So
stop
like if
doing
the
that.
sausages sat overnight and kind of like got into their skin, a little bit,
Yeah.
like it
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's
be squeezing out as much. Like they would
Right.
kind of settle in a little.
Yeah, they
bit.
the proteins kind of start to
Yeah.
kind of come together a little bit. And,
Looking good.
Oh, these are trucking along real nice.
Yeah, they are.
yeah, so we also can tell. So the internal temperature for ground meats, they say, is about 155.
Yeah.
So we recommend that you cook your sausages to about 155 degrees is what's recommended. These have nitrites in them too, so you're going to see like when we cut them open, they're going to have a nice.
look a little pink.
Yeah, and so we just do it so there's. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having that gray color, but they do have a little bit of a pink color in there. And sometimes some people get confused and think that it's
Yeah.
not cooked all the way, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
that's not the case because you can bring that up to even higher than that, and then they'll do it again, and it'll still come out pink. So there's nothing you can really do about that.
Yeah.
It's just the compound for nitrite in there.
Oh, that's just beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they're
so-
getting a really nice little browning on there,
Yes.
and we're cooking them at a slower temperature, or lower temperature, so they're not bursting, right?
Yeah.
So
because we started them hot
exactly.
and then just kind
Right.
of moved them over after we got that nice like Maillard reaction on the exterior.
Yeah, so they get that nice crispy because that's
Yeah.
part of the whole experience, right? When you
and
eat it,
it's flavor
development. It
Yeah.
sure is. Yep.
Oh,
so
those are gorgeous.
they're not bursting at all. We didn't poke them. We didn't poke them or anything like that. I mean,
Yeah.
they're actually doing really good. And I'm looking at them. I know this is some serious sausage analyzation here,
Right.
but you can even see like there's no pooling of any fat or anything in there because
Yep.
sometimes if you have the wrong fat or
You
if
see it just boiling.
that's right.
Yeah.
And so you'll see that and it'll just start coming out, but that's not happening.
Yeah.
And so not even the water. So we know that we did pretty good.
Well, that's a first.
That's going to make a good lunch.
We did a good job.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
And so we can also tell, well, I can't say I can tell by touching it that I know it's 155, but I know it'll be done because it'll be very firm, right? In the
Yeah.
inside. And so we know, but you know, to be on the safe side, if you really want to be sure, 155.
Yeah, I just used the thermometer. And then you just kind of go in from the side. That way it won't rupture the casing.
To
Exactly.
go in
yeah.
like
And we
this
know, like, so
direction.
worst case scenario, if we did decide to eat it like medium or medium well and it wasn't completely done, we know we're most likely safe
Yeah.
because we ground that pork ourselves, right? So we
And
didn't.
it's been frozen as well
Right.
for like a couple of days.
Exactly.
And that helps kill off a lot of like organisms and funky stuff too.
Exactly. So we use a good quality meat on here.
Yep.
Yep. So
It's gorgeous. All right, you think these peppers are done?
I think they're pretty
think
close,
so.
yeah.
'Cause I can't hold it anymore.
All right.
I'm just hungry.
We're going to find out.
Yeah, these are gorgeous. Oh,
Beautiful. I'll man the grill while you guys cut open.
I'm so excited right now. You wanna
looks great. Oh, sure.
cut into these little puppies?
Sure. So, like we'll see here, there's no pooling of any fat or anything, so you know the emulsion really helped. That emulsion that we made helped tremendously.
It's just gorgeous.
Yep. And I'm gonna just cut into it here.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. You see just the amount of juice just
Wanna see?
kind of pushing to the cut surface when you're cutting like that.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous.
I'm hungry.
So I think we need to save some of the sausages and give them to our nutritionist because you might not enjoy the amount of fat that we just put in here.
Right.
But we'll save her a couple maybe.
I'm sure she'll be healthy. It's like we'll throw some slaw on it or something, something healthy, right?
We can do a chicken one for her next time.
Sure.
Yeah.
So be sure to check out our website for the recipes. This is a lot of like good information, like ratios on the sausages. Be sure to stay tuned for our nutritionist. She's gonna hate us for the amount of fat that we just used.
Just a
It'll make up for
little.
all the stuff we did in the garden, though.
Yeah, it's all right.
Right.
But thank you guys for hanging out and making some sausages on this wonderful summer day.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
Yeah.
for having me.
Thank you guys for watching, and just stay tuned for future episodes.